I was driving in the car the other day with my son, 14, and we're just listening to music, driving along, and he says, "Mom, how do you know when you feel God?" Stay tuned. Welcome to the podcast, Empowered by Design. I am your host, Dr. Liz, a hopeful romantic, mom of two beautiful souls, and partner to the love of my life. As a licensed psychologist, I love helping people heal, grow, and shine. I am a love and relationship specialist and owner of Visionistas by Design Wellness Boutique, where we lead with love and empower you to fly. This podcast delivers inspirational stories, conversations, and lessons on the power of tuning in body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. Following your intuition, seeing the signs, and listening to the whispers from angels. To pursue your dreams in life, work, and love with intentional vision. Share the love, spread the power. Dream, design, deliver. Hello and welcome to the Empowered by Design podcast. This is episode 92. Welcome. I am Dr. Liz. I am your host of the podcast week after week. Thank you for coming. This is an episode where if there is one person who will benefit from hearing this message, from hearing this talk, from hearing my thoughts, my reactions, then it is worth it. I hope that you are that person. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. I'm so glad you stumbled upon me and this podcast about empowerment and really just tuning into life and love and tuning in and walking your path. If you are returning, thank you. You know I'm so grateful for you and your dedication for coming back week after week to be with me, connect with me, and sending your positive vibes back to me and out to the universe. Today's episode is, I'm just going to jump right in and get started talking about it. It is one where I had this thought, like, should I share this? This is meaningful. This is life. If you are a parent, a caregiver, a grandparent, or you love people in general and you love conversations, I hope you love this episode. I'm a mom of two, 14 and 12, and they are my life. They are my soul. They are my heart. And when we get to experience moments like this of connection, when our children feel comfortable to express curiosity and vulnerability and ask us, "Mom, how do you know when you can feel God?" It's amazing. It's amazing. Very, very moving, very touching for me. So that is where we're going to start today. I was driving in the car, as you know, from the intro with my son, and we had just been at a church service, visiting a church, and one of his friends was being baptized, and it was, a celebration and wonderful, and then we were going to Dick's Sporting Goods store to get wrestling shoes after church. So it was just the two of us. My husband and Sophia, my daughter, had gone home. They did not come shopping with us. And we're, just driving along, and my son just out of the blue asks me this question. And I will tell you, in the moment, as a parent, you're like, oh, that's a big question, right? Like, how do you know God? How do you feel God? How do you know when God is with you? And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I have been on a spiritual journey over the past year, and this is part of it, right? This is part of it in sharing and talking and exploring our beliefs, exploring our spirituality. I invite you to do the same, to reflect on yours, your values, your culture, your family, where you've come from, where you are right now in your life, where you are going, where you want to be going. And it is a journey. I'm the kind of person who I have to remind myself to enjoy the journey, because sometimes I just want to be at the finish line and be like, okay, I got it. It's done. I know all the answers. I know it all. And it's these moments like these, where you get to really reflect and share and invite and teach and connect. I love connecting. And for me, these moments are precious to connect with my children. So my first reaction was, oh, how do I answer this heavy question? And then I'm like, okay, you got this, Liz, you got this. And mom guilt, right, was there. And you've heard me talk about mom guilt before. If you're a mom or a parent or a grandmother, whatever, caregiver, mom guilt is real. I will say what it means to me is I never feel like I'm enough for my kids, which, as I say it out loud, it sounds so tragic and sad, because I do know that I'm me and I'm the mom they're supposed to have. Wow. Whew, that's emotion. But on some level, right? Like, it's a big job. It's a big freaking job to be a parent. And so I have to also remind myself that I am exactly what they need and doing the best job of that. And also, like, being able to reflect and evaluate and say, can I do better? Yes. So as I reflected, all these thoughts fly into your head at the moment, and I'm like, gosh, when they were little, we used to pray and read stories, and we went to church more regularly when they were little. Life, not an excuse, but an explanation and evaluation, gets busy, and different things get in the way for me as a person. And so we have been attending church more regularly in the recent months, years, and trying to find a place that feels like home. So still on that journey. Whew. And so all those thoughts and emotions come flooding in, and I just paused and took a breath. There's no rush in a time like these. We're in a car, we're driving. I knew we had time, and I gave my answer and also invited his curiosity. And so I said, this is a really great question. And part of it is really personal. And we all have our own relationship with God and divinity. And so I'm saying this to all of you as well. I invite you to reflect on yours. Because as I talk, I will share mine in a way that reveals my beliefs, but also invites you to reflect on your beliefs and your journey in believing and faith. And so for me, I said, well, Jackson, I said to him, I feel God in lots of different ways. I can feel God sometimes in my heart, a lot of times in my heart, and kind of just knowing that God is with me. I can feel God in my head and kind of get some of these messages. I feel God when I'm singing, when we're listening to music, when we're singing, when we're worshiping. For me, that is so, so powerful. My favorite part of church, I would say, if there is. My favorite part of the Spirit being in me, connected with me. I feel it in song, and I feel it in the beautiful art of music and connection. That's me. I feel that connection. And so as I'm talking out loud to him, more things come unfolding in my mind, and I ask him, have you felt it with music? Because we talked as well about the different kinds of songs that you sing in church. So I was raised in a very traditional church that we sang from the hymnal, and love those kinds of songs. But also we have, I've attended church, and in my church of childhood, they mixed in more contemporary music. And so there's just such a range of music. And he said, yeah, Mom, you're right. I think that when I was at camp, so my children and my family have, for our whole lives, as long as I can remember, have attended French Creek Bible Conference, which is in Pennsylvania, each summer on a very regular basis. And my kids now go and love it. And one of my favorite parts of that is the singing and the music. And it's a big part of that camp, in addition to connecting and eating and playing games and worshiping and making friends and just being in the spirit of nature. Oh, no cell service if you have my provider. And it's just a time of connection with God, with the universe, with source, whatever it is for you. For me, it is connecting with God and divinity and nature and just the beauty of being in that space. And Jackson reflected and was like, yeah, actually, that is a place where I have felt that, especially when I'm singing. And so I continued to talk about my experience with him, and said, when I pray and also when I meditate, because as you know here, meditating is a huge part of my life, and has become just such a special time for me to connect with myself, to connect with God, to connect with intuition and thoughts and emotions and spirit and divinity, and beyond. But, and they know, my family knows about my meditating. They know about my meditation space. We've meditated together before. And so I said, when we allow ourselves to pause and to quiet down, to shut off the distractions, because if you are a mom or any person who sees teenagers, kids, not only teenagers, but like so young on these devices, and we try to encourage the balance, but it is a big thing. And I said, as I was talking to Jackson, I said, it's one of the times when I'm meditating that I'm really intentional about trying to remove the outside distractions, because my mind is distracting enough, right? Are you with me on that? The thoughts that flood in. But tuning into the body and the breath and the spirit, and making the time to slow down, to quiet the things that we can quiet. And we're not perfect, far from it, because the thoughts come and we have to just be intentional about noticing when that happens. If you are a meditator or a striving to be meditator, the thoughts are, that is part of it, right? That is the way it happens. When you are meditating, thoughts come in, and that is normal. We are human. It's noticing that they're there and then refocusing on whatever it is you have chosen to focus on, whether it is your breath, whether you are being guided by a voice, an exercise, music, whatever it is. Noticing, raising your ability to be aware, to be in tune with your mind, with your body, with your spirit, with your soul, with your heart, your emotions, your psyche, all of the things that make up who we are and our connection to ourselves and beyond. So as I'm sharing this with you, I was sharing this with him, and I did not talk this long with him, right? Because I also know my ability to tangent, and wanted to give my answer, satisfy his curiosity, and also invite him to stay curious and to explore. And I said to him, so I think it would be good for you to make an effort to do some of these things that I'm talking about. When we're driving and I say, get off your device and look at the beautiful trees. Look out your windows. And they're like, Mom, we already saw these. And I'm like, see them again. They're beautiful. Connect with nature. Put your phone down. Put your device down. Pause. Be still. Sit still. See, hear, taste, smell, touch the things that we have at our disposal. And I said, and praying, right? Praying is a good thing, and continuing to talk about these things. I love that you asked me this. I think it's great to have these conversations with me. Thank you for asking me as your mom. I did express to him, I said, I feel like, you asking me this is a really great thing, and it's also helps me to see how I can do better as a mom, and providing these opportunities for you to feel God, to know when you feel God. And I left it. And I left it at that because I'm a piece of it, right? But the Spirit is working in that child. The Spirit is working in me and in you. If you listen and tune in, if you make the time to be intentional, to connect with your soul and your spirit and your God and your light and your source and your divinity, we are connected in that space of divinity, of light. We all are. Yeah, I'm smiling. There's always tears, right, when I'm talking about these kinds of emotions. And so later that day, I was taking Jackson to meet his friend, to celebrate more with his friend after we got his wrestling shoes. They're awesome. Wrestling season is right around the corner. Actually, it's here. They're already doing their lifting and stuff. So we didn't get much of a break between football and wrestling, which is how we roll. And he said, can I, is a friend of mine, Renee, hey, had reached out to me and said, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? I'm solo. You want to meet up? And I'm like, yes. I love, love, love when I get invitations from my friends to connect. And so after Dick's, I was meeting up with Renee, and Jackson said, is where you're going with Renee anywhere near where Callie is? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll drop you off. I can take you. And so it just so happened that where I was taking him, I needed to go in because I had left something at this place months ago, and they reached out, months ago and said, hey, we have these pictures for you. We found them after your reunion, and one of them has you in it, so we figured we'd get them back to you. So I hadn't been back, and I knew I was dropping him off, and I was running late. Shocker, if you know me, to meet Renee. And I was like, I'm here. I should go in and get these photos. And I texted Renee and I'm like, I'm about 6 minutes behind schedule. And she's like, no problem whatsoever. See you there when you get there. And so I went in and got the photos, and then I chatted with Jackson's friend's mom, and just kind of took my, I don't want to say took my time, but did what I needed to do to get the photos, and then also, to pass off my child and make the arrangements for later of pick up and drop off. And then left to meet Renee. And as I'm driving, I had my GPS because I just wanted to make sure I was taking the fastest route to get there because I was already running late. And I got to a point in the road where the road was blocked. There was a volunteer firefighter with the lights flashing in the car. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't now I'm going to be even later. And I turned, and my GPS added 7 minutes to my trip. So I called my friend, I called Renee, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. The road is blocked and I'm going to be even later. And she's like, no worries. Take your time. I'll see you when you get here. And Renee and I had a great time, got there safely. We enjoyed each other's company, connected. Later that night, came home, had family time. And the next day, Renee messaged me and said, Liz, thank God you had to go in and pick up those pictures, and that your trip was delayed 5 minutes. Because on that road, there was a tragic accident on the road that was blocked. And she sent me some info about it. No names had been released at the time. Oh, and there was a crash and there was a death. And she said, you missed it. You were blocked from it. That was the road that you were going to be going on. And I'm just like, oh my God. Wow. I could cry. And that is how you know. That's how you feel God. That's how I feel God. When you can't see it, you don't know exactly what would have happened had I gone on that road 6 minutes sooner. But I know that I wasn't supposed to be on that road 6 minutes sooner. And I was protected. And I went home later that night after work, after a long day. And I prayed with both of my kids. Every night we do cuddle time, and after my chat with Jackson and my how can I do better as a mom, I said I cuddle with them every night. We say goodnight. We do a little chit chat, and I can pray with them and help them to cultivate their connection with God. And I shared with Jackson. I said, I thought of you today because Renee told me about this accident and shared with him the story. And that kid just wrapped his body around mine in this hug and grabbed my hand And I was like, oh, I held on with dear life, right? When we take messages, moments, experiences, possibilities, the what ifs, to pause and cherish what we have. And I said, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And he's like, oh, Mom, I would have been so sad. And I didn't share with him that story to make him feel sad, but the emotion was there, right? The emotion was there. And I said, that is how, another way that we know that we feel God. And the emotion was there when I shared the story with my husband and when I shared the story with my parents. And the emotion is here right now. And I invite you to pause and tune in to your reaction, your body, your heart, your spirit, your beliefs. I know miracles in my life, and I also know tragedy and trauma and loss and grief. We all do, don't we? We have experienced the range of it. And for me, it's a reminder of faith in things we cannot see, in our beliefs, in our knowing, in our feeling, in our faith, in our God, our divinity, our connection with each other, with ourselves, with beyond. My heart breaks for that family. Breaks for yours, for your grief, for the grief and the pain and the loss that we see every single day in this world. And we sit with it and we experience it. We cry, we connect, we hurt. We breathe, we pray, we sing, we connect with the universe, with the grass, with the sky. I took my parents to the airport this morning and the moon was amazing. It was just an amazing, beautiful picture. And we're driving, we're chatting, we're excited for their trip, we're looking at the moon, we're checking, making sure you have everything, IDs, phones, chargers. What are you going to do on your trip? And then sharing with them my conversation with Jackson, their grandson, and gratitude for the way that they have loved me, parented me, connected with me, prayed for me, with me, sang with me, modeled for me love and faith and connection. Love you, Mom and Dad. How about you? Tune in to your gratitude, your faith, your journey, full of all of the things, all of the emotions, all of the experiences, the pain, the pleasure, the joy, the sorrow, the fear, the excitement, the exhilaration, the love, and the connection. How do you feel God? How do you feel Spirit? How do you feel connected to your soul, to your heart, to your people, and beyond? Hug your people today. embrace those precious, precious moments of connection and curiosity and love. Thank you. Thank you for being with me today, for being in this space of connection. I'd love to hear your reactions. You can DM me on Instagram at Dr. Liz. Your curiosities, your questions, your faith, your knowing. How do you do it? Let's connect. Share this episode with someone who may need it. And come back next time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for connecting with me. Thank you for sharing your love and your energy with me, with others, with the world. Sending love far and wide. I cannot wait to connect with you again next time. Take care. Thank you for connecting on this episode of the podcast, Empowered by Design. For further connection, subscribe to my email list at drliz.com to be sure that you are in the loop for exciting news, events, and resources. You can also follow me on social media at Dr. Liz and at Visionistas by Design. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and send this episode to one of your people in order to share the love, spread the power. This podcast is designed to inspire, educate, and empower you to pursue your dreams with intentional vision. This podcast is not meant to be a substitute for psychological treatment or a working relationship with a licensed mental health professional. For more information on connecting with mental health resources in your area, visit drliz.com and click on resources. Thank you again for connecting, and remember, trust the heart, work your vision, dream, design, deliver.